Hey everybody, welcome to the Chapter 1 Mid-Unit Review Part 2, because if you're one of my students, we reviewed already, so these are just a few extra review problems, okay? So I'm going to do these problems on the we do side, you would do the ones on the I do side, so I'm not even going to pay attention to that. So, find P, point P, on line AB that is 1/4 of the distance from A to B, for A is at 2,5 and B is at 6,9. So the first thing I like to do is find the distance it moved between the x's, and then find the distance it moved between the y's. So I'll look at the x-coordinate for A, and that's 2, and I'll look at the x-coordinate for B, and that's 6. So what you're supposed to do is, to find the distance, you do the second one minus the first one. So 6 minus 2 is 4. So my x's traveled 4 units. Now let's look at my y's. It went from 5 to 9. So I do 9 minus 5, and my y's traveled 4 units as well. Next, I will look at that partial distance fraction, and I'll multiply it times my distances. So I'll do 4 times 1/4, and then it turned out to be the same thing, but I'll do that 4 times 1/4. And that's going to equal 1 on both of these. So if I'm going to travel 1/4 of the distance from A to B, I'm going to travel 1 unit forward on my x's, and I'll travel 1 unit forward on my y's. So all you do is you take your coordinates for A, 2, and 5, and then you just add those partial distances. So plus 1 and then plus 1. So I get 3 and 6. Those are the coordinates for your new point P. Point P will be at 3, 6. Okay? So for this next one, find the coordinates of D if E is the midpoint of CD and C is at 12, 8. So for a problem like this, it's giving me the midpoint and it's asking me to find one of the endpoints. So it might help if I drew a picture. So here I just drew a terrible little number line, and E is the midpoint, so E is at 0, 0. And then it gave me C is at 12, 8. You just need to figure out point D, so it comes after point E. Alright, so what is this going to be? So I like to approach it like I did the previous one. I like to calculate the distance my x's travel and the distance my y's traveled from moving from C to E. So the first point was technically 12, and then the second one is 0, looking at the x values. So what I'll do is I'll do 0 minus 12, x2 minus x1, and then I'll do y2 minus y1, 0 minus 8. So it traveled a negative 12. In other words, it went backwards 12 units. And then this one went negative 8. It went backwards 8 units. Okay? So all I need to do is I'm going from C to E and from E to D. So I need to travel backwards 12 units on the x's from E and backwards 8 units on the y's from E. So all I do is I take those the EX coordinate of 0 minus 12, or if it was positive I would plus 12, you know. So that's going to be a negative 12. And I take the y coordinate of 0, and then I minus 8. If it were a positive 8, again, I would write 0 plus 8. And so that's at negative 8. So this right here, negative 12 to comma negative 8, that's my coordinate of D. All right? That is my endpoint D. Okay? So I just erased the little question mark and just wrote negative 12, negative 8 there. But yeah, that's all there is to say about that one. Number 14, find the distance between A and B. You need to pull up your distance formula, which is just x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. And all that's under a square root sign. So let's see here. Let's label our x1, y1. It's just the first point you read. And label our x2, y2. That's the second point you read. And let's just plug those numbers into the formula. So I'm going to write square root of, and then x2 is 6 minus x1 is 9. So 6 minus 9 squared plus y2 is 3 minus y1 is negative 9 squared, and it's all under the square root sign. So all you do is you just type that into your calculator and you get a very long decimal, so I'm going to round, so I'll use the squiggly equal sign and I'll round to the nearest thousandths place, which is 3 decimal places. So it's about a distance of 12.369. But that's all there is to a distance problem. If I give you 2 points, just use that distance formula, okay? So this is one formula worth writing down to remember for later, okay? This next example, what's the midpoint of the line segment with endpoints of 3, 1, and 5, 3? So midpoint, all you have to do is add together your x-coordinates divided by 2, add together your y-coordinates divided by 2. So that's technically the formula. I like to put the numerator on top in parentheses because if you're typing it into a calculator, I want you to make sure you get that numerator added first before it divides. So I'm going to add together my 2 x-coordinates. That's 3 and 5. So I'm going to say 3 plus 5 over 2, comma, and then I'll add together my y's, 1 plus 3 over 2. Alright, so 3 plus 5 is 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So 4, comma, and then 1 plus 3 is 4, divided by 2 is 2. 4, comma, 2 is my midpoint. So this one was much easier than the previous midpoint problem, because I wasn't given my midpoint, I was given my endpoints, and I just had to figure out the midpoints. Okay? This next one, what's the intersection of plane X and plane Y? Well, let's identify what plane X is. It's this green plane right here. You see the X in that corner. Here's plane Y, this blue plane going up and down through it. So 2 planes intersect at a line. What line is it that makes that intersection? That would be line RS. Okay? You could write line RS. I guess technically you could write RS with the line on top of it. And then since order doesn't matter, you could also say line SR or just SR with the line on top of it. But those are pretty much your only options. Okay? And then this last one is, what's the midpoint of CD? So you need to determine the distance it traveled from C to D. So you take the second point, 5, and you minus the original point, negative 9. And so that's going to be a distance of 14. I need to go halfway there, right? So what's half of 14? 7. So I take 7 and I'm going to add it to my first point. My first point was negative 9. Negative 9 plus 7 equals negative 2. Alright, so then I'm just going to put my new dot there. So yeah, that's the answer. The answer was just negative 2. You know, problem like this with the number line, you could easily count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and be like, okay, 14 is half of 14, 7, and then go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the alternative way of doing this. But yeah, that's basically it for the examples I wanted to do. So thank you for watching and good luck on the test. Bye.